All right, guys. So today we're going to go over some of the discussions and emails that we had with ShopSabre. And the very first thing I want to do is play an audio clip for you. So I'll go ahead and let that clip play real quick.
Tech support. This.
Hey, it's I was having issues with the screws that were completely loose. Do you remember our conversation?
Yeah.
Okay. And so I essentially attempted what you had described with the ball screw on the x-axis, and it guides to the same spot. So I was just wondering if you could go over that process that's used to do the linear rails.
Yeah, so the linear rails, if you think they're kind of out of sort, you got those little green things. I think you said that you already popped those out.
Correct. Yep.
So what you do is you bring, so essentially what you do is you bring the gantry all the way to the front, right? And loosen some of those screws behind the gantry.
Okay.
And then you move the gantry past the screw and then tighten it down. So basically when the screws are loose, the gantry is putting it where it needs to be.
Okay.
And then and then after you get past, the screw that's loose, you tighten it and track it that way. So as you're moving the gantry, you're tightening screws so the gantry situates it where it needs to be, so there's no tension on those guides.
Right. Okay. Well, I appreciate that. Now, this is what prompted us to do an inspection on this machine. When we heard that their method of straightening the linear rails was to loosen all the bolts on those rails and glide the gantry across, and as it passes, you tighten each bolt, immediate red flags went off in my mind. So I never took that advice. I left the rails how they were because essentially in my mind, I'm like, there's no way that this machine, even without having the loose ball screws, which if you watched our previous video, and if you haven't, I suggest you do. But if you haven't, it arrived here with loose ball screws. But when I heard this is how they do that, essentially what we decided to do was gather some metrology grade equipment and do an inspection on this machine. And that's why, after hearing that, it blew my mind. I even said to the tech, I said, well, how do you know that the rails are straight? That just doesn't seem like a very scientific method of doing this. And because the gantry straightens the rails. So what we ended up doing was performing this inspection and sending it to them. And then finally, after we did that, and of course, threatened legal action, we finally got contacted by upper management or essentially and their executives. So I'm going to go ahead and play a clip for you so you guys can hear how those discussions went.
Please continue to hold for personal assistance.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Doing well. So saw the fun video and very well done. I that's probably the best video I've ever seen put together.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
The downside is it does not look good by any means.
No, it doesn't.
I see everything that you're showing us, and from that standpoint, I'm agreeing with what you've been telling us of not wrenching it on the machine and trying to do anything there, because I don't think we'll ever get down to that high wind spec that you're showing us. So the one option that we came up with that we'd like to offer you first is we'll pay to have the machine shipped back, and give your money back and separate in that way of, we don't think we'll ever hit 0.8 of a thou. So we agree where you want to go, and that probably won't get you there.
So in that first clip, you can see, obviously, and this is one of their engineers or somebody who helps engineer the machines, that they obviously knew this did not look good for them. So he told me he needed to go talk to the executives so they could come up with a solution and we could move forward. And so essentially, here's the next discussion I had with them. And they lay out essentially what it is they want from us and what they're willing to do. So I'll go ahead and play that audio clip for you now.
Hey, this
Hey, how's it going, man?
doing very well.
Good.
How about yourself?
I'm doing good. All right, so I just wanted to be, or was just curious, I guess, what your guys' expectations are. Like once we, do all this.
Definitely. Yeah, and that's where we started talking about that option. We've got a document that we can send your way. That way there is no confusion, just because we haven't done this very few times at all. So we can send that your way. But essentially the way that I understand it is we will pay for all the shipping for it to get all the way back to us. What we would ask of you is to put it on a pallet or some way like it arrived close to you. Obviously it doesn't need to be white wrapped, but if you put the boxes on top, strap them down, hold them down somehow, do some little shrink wrap just to protect it from any dust or anything that could fall out of a truck, or even light water. Obviously there's no way to protect the machine completely. Send us some pictures of when it's ready to go. We will set up our truck to pick it up. We can have a lift gate service if you'd like, and then we'll have you come pick up. As soon as it arrives at our door, we'll just verify, hey, it looks like it left there, and we will write you a check back for the exact purchase price that you spent.
Okay. And that's it. Nothing else. There's no other expectation.
Nope, and like I said, we want both sides to feel comfortable with this. So I talked with a little bit, and he started writing all that up, and he goes, well, let's just have the conversation and make sure that's the way you want to go. But we agree with, or I agree completely with your statement of let's make sure there aren't any surprises. So we've started writing down that process, and I will gladly email that over to you.
Okay, yeah, because that was the thing. I didn't know if you guys expected anything additional, or So
I don't believe so. So
all right.
That's where I will go confer with, if that's the way you would like to go. Just that way you're holding on to an email or however he wants to do it of that expectation. But when him and I ran through it, it should be just like I said it.
Okay, all right. And so, and I guess the other thing that I was going to discuss, it sounded like you guys, were concerned with the video, so I wanted to make sure that, that wasn't part of the whole thing,
And I think that's just where, just like you were saying, I think we're all hoping that is, hey, as soon as we part ways, that video dies.
Oh, okay. So you got that. See, that's different. That's what I'm talking about. So after speaking with them over the phone, they decided they were going to cease having talks over the phone. And then things just progressed into email. So here is the back and forth we had with them through email. From that point, initially, we just got an email with a contract. And in that contract, it strictly stated we were not allowed to talk about any of the conversations we had with them, nor post anything damning to them, essentially, because they wanted this review to die, which of course you heard in that recording. And we essentially made edits to this contract, crossed out the stuff that wasn't going to happen, for instance, the NDA, of course, because we were not going to not post this video. People need to know when companies treat customers the way that we've been treated. So Then from that point, here's where, we get into more detail as far as what we're looking for and what they're looking for. And so they reach out and say, regarding your contact with support, it's now clear that we did reach out to their technical support team multiple times because, of course, we were accused of not reaching out to them. And they say, however, it's part of the process. If you felt something wasn't handled to your standards, we would have expected an attempt to escalate the issue to upper management before it reached this point. We tried to say multiple times, look, we just got this machine and it's damaged. I don't think that it's our job to fix the machine. But it never prompted their techs to send this to upper management. What prompted them to do that was in this audio clip I'm going to play for you now. And you can see just exactly what it took to get a response from upper management. When I do send this, I don't want you guys to have to waste your time, essentially, trying to, go over everything again. It's to the point now, if you can just relay to them, if there's not a solution to this, I'm going to have my lawyer contact them. Okay.
All right. That sounds good. There's always a solution. So
I didn't feel like it would be a big deal for them seeing that it came to us damaged, but apparently it's a little more difficult to get a resolution than I thought it would be. So there you have it. We had to threaten legal action for them to take it to upper management. I don't know. I don't ever remember dealing with anybody in retail or, other companies where we've purchased things where that's what it took to, in fact, this is the first time we've ever had to do this. At least I've ever had to do it. So then they say, if you choose to work with us on repairs, that they're confident their team can restore the machine to its proper advertised tolerances. And then he lists in parentheses what those are. Now, first of all, advertising, they advertise 0.001. It says repeatability. We asked about that. Oh yeah, that's when it's under load and it's cutting. That's what it's at. This is the first time ever in any of the paperwork, anything we dealt with, that all of a sudden there's a listed cutting tolerance for this machine, which of course I immediately caught it. I was, the whole reason we purchased this was to do a prototype, and we needed a machine that could cut at 0.001. And that's what we were sold on, the promise of it cutting at that. Anyways, they go on to say, however, based on our internal investigation, we've determined that the machine left their facility free of defects. The damages we identified likely occurred during transit and compounded with the internal cleanup process. And it makes me wonder, what on earth kind of terrain did this semi driver, and at what speed was he going for these bolts to come loose?
Hey, yo, Brandon, you there?
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, where the hell you going, man? GPS says you're way off course.
It's called a shortcut, man. Hell yeah, ShopSabre. Here we come, baby.
ShopSabre CNC. Don't worry about f***ing up your machine. We'll do it for you.
And then, not to mention, what kind of internal cleanup processes are you doing that loosens bolts on a machine? I don't get that. It's the most bizarre thing I've ever heard, but that's neither here nor there. So we'll continue. Now, they say during the final stages of manufacturing and testing, which is a 3 to 5 day period, minor scratches can occur, and our team performs touch-ups before shipping. In this case, paint came into contact with the ball screw, and that plus the movement of the ball screw mount during transit contributed to the paint marks you mentioned and gives the appearance that it was defective from the factory. You don't say. All right. So we responded to him and said, like I said previously, this wasn't all the damage we found. We had measured the MDF top using a micrometer, and the measurements along the edges had mimicked the rails. And at that point, we had a metrology grade laser on the way. So we could take a scan of the entire MDF top and show that it was cut with a loose ball screw. We go on to say, furthermore, the machine frame, it had one side that was welded on crooked, which we scanned as well with our metrology laser. And we're going to show the viewers that as well. And by the way, guys, if you haven't seen the video, we already posted one with the MDF top scan, but coming up soon, we're going to post the frame, which we also did a 3D scan on. So look for that in the near future. We go on to say, without any doubt, that the machine was surfaced from the factory with a loose ball screw. And we would like them to return the machine because it does not in any way meet the specifications listed or what we were told. So then we went on to tell them, look, we'll present the facts, including what ShopSabre believes the facts are in this matter, as well as what resolution they would agree to. But we will not, however, agree to throw away more money than we had already spent. Essentially, what we meant by that is if you guys have ever done a proper inspection on one of these machines, the equipment to inspect them is extremely expensive. So just prepare yourself for that. You know, if you are going to calibrate these and get them accurate, you know, which they should come from the factory that way. But after a year or so, you're supposed to do these calibrations. And the cost is just, well, anybody who's done it, you'll know what I'm talking about. We go on to say, I think that's reasonable. You know, we didn't want to throw away this video or the inspection because a lot of time and money went into it. So we said we'll be honest with viewers and show them exactly what it was we found inspecting the machine, as well as what their point of view was and what they did to resolve this. So then we ask them, if you'd like to address viewers on why the MDF top changes thickness, mimicking, you know, the same misalignment we found in the rails, that we would include that as well. Then they responded, and he says, well, we appreciate your response, but the two options we've outlined remain the only paths forward that we believe are appropriate at this time. Our only options were to have their support team guide us through fixing the machine, God help us, or return the machine for a full refund. But we did not have the option of not having the NDA on there. Then essentially they just mention that they can get it to the advertised specifications. And of course, these are specifications he just made up in the email. So we went on and basically re-summarized all the issues that we discovered with the machine upon inspection, the loose ball screw housing, smudged paint behind it, and of course, the non-flattened MDF topper. Those were the main points that we listed in there. Then we go on to say, as stated in the video to you and your team multiple times, our machine only had 17 cutting hours on it. So there should be no reason for maintenance or fixing the machine. And then we say, if a product leaves the facility damaged, of course, the least the company should do is replace, refund, or even personally inspect the product to address the issue. Not offer to show us how to fix the damaged product that you sent us. So, especially when we didn't damage that product, a refund, replacement, or inspection was not offered, which is why we found ourselves here, exchanging emails. If our video had not been produced and sent to your team's attention, it is our belief that ShopSabre would have continued to offer the same option, which we just found completely unacceptable. when I say they'd offer us the same option, every time I would say, I don't think that we should have to fix this, their tech would go, well, okay, well, let's just work on this and see if we can't get it fixed. They just kept ignoring essentially what I was saying. And that, you think that would be the point where a light bulb goes off and they, you know what? Let me go ahead and send this to upper management. But of course, no. Instead, we had to threaten them with legal action and have a video showing that they sent us this machine completely wrecked, you know? Then he responds to us and says, first of all, regarding your assertion the machine was damaged at our facility, we must respectfully disagree. Our testing processes are thorough, and we maintain rigorous quality control standards before shipping. Now, while he acknowledges the paint may have been touched up prior to shipping, any movement of the ball bearing housing, as I suggested, is more likely to have occurred during transit. Your belief that the damage originated in our facility is understandable based on the evidence you shared. But without a report filed at the time of delivery, our ability to investigate in detail has been limited due to this time that you waited to report this. We remain confident in our shipping process and the fact no issues were noted upon departure. Now, I will say this, from the moment we found it, we did reach out to them. Now, you only have 7 days to inspect the machine, which is, of course, why we took photos and have photographic evidence of the day it arrived. Now, we were also told that this is a plug-and-play machine. Well, when it got here, it turns out that's not the case. So you can't just ready, set, go. That's not the way it works. So first of all, it doesn't run off standard electrical in residential, which we were told that it did. So we had to get an electrician to install that. The other point that they don't go on to iterate is that you need to seal this in a EMF, EMI proof electrical box. Otherwise, it can throw out interference, the variable frequency drive that runs the spindle. So we also had to construct that as well. And, you know, get that integrated into the whole system. And when you put something that essentially is housed like that, of course it needs to have thermal control and yada yada yada. So we spent all our time installing this stuff, which we'll make a video on that as well, so we can show you guys what goes in to making one of these housings. But it's not plug and play. There's no way to plug it in and go, well, does this work? You know, how can you do that? You know, it took us 2 months to get an electrician here. So those are just some of the things that were conveyed to us. And the only thing that we were told is that when your machine arrives, check the tip meter to make sure it didn't tip. Well, I can assure you it didn't tip. Okay. Now, we finally ended with telling them we decided to withdraw the final attempt at resolution and end all negotiations regarding the matter at hand. So, and that we were going to move forward and post our review of the ShopSabre 23. In the final email, we summarized again the MDF, the loose ball screw, the frame, paint missing off the bottom. You name it, we listed it all. And which, by the way, let me point out, not once does he ever address any of these things that we found when we were doing our inspection on this machine. So then we went on to say, since neither you nor your company want to take any responsibility for the issues we faced with this machine, how can we fully trust them to take responsibility if our machine was damaged after being received at their facility? So how are we supposed to trust that ShopSabre wouldn't try to shift the blame to us? They seem to blame everyone else. And then not only would their company have the machine we just paid for, but they would also have control of our money. And just think about that after everything we just went through. So then we go on to state, of course, their cutting tolerances are not advertised anywhere, and ask them if they could point us to where on their website or even in the contract we signed that we would appreciate it. But at no point does he point us to where we can find any of this stuff. He just says it. And so then we arrive at the final response from ShopSabre. They double down, claiming they stand by their quality control, and the issues we've encountered with our machine happened during transit. They continue to say that their internal records don't support our claim the machine was damaged at their facility. However, these internal records were never shared with us. Neither was their quality control, because like I said, if you look at the machine, there's zero quality control whatsoever. I mean, how do you miss paint on the entire bottom of a machine or send it, and not only that, machine the top with a loose ball screw? And the big one, right? How they straighten the rails, which is unbelievable. It's a method I've never heard of. And so you're telling me the way you know they're straight is by guiding the gantry across while the bolts are loose, and as it passes each bolt, you tighten them. Then, of course, they say it's unfortunate we were unable to resolve the issue to both parties' satisfaction. To sum it up, they only left us two options, right? And those options were, one, we have their support team guide us through fixing the machine, right? And of course, we told them this machine doesn't meet what you told us it would, the specification you said it would. So that's not an option. And then their other option was, well, we will refund the machine, but you have to sign an NDA and basically throw away this entire video that you made, or we won't refund you the money for your machine. So, of course, we didn't take it. We posted the review because we really don't want to see anybody else get taken advantage of like we were. Here we are 2 years, after we found this issue. And that machine still has 17 cutting hours on it. It hasn't ran a single job since the first one. All I can say is look for the inspection of the frame that's coming up. And going forward, we'll have a lot more videos showing you guys how to analyze and calibrate your own machines. So thank you for watching. Like and subscribe.